Unanimously. We'll move on to item 5, which is consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending May 5th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte, second by Commissioner Jepson. If I heard that correct? Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad. Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
And that also passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 6, which is the approval of minutes from the May 9th, 2023 County Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Commissioner Brassad.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schulte. Any additions, subtractions, or changes? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion also passes unanimously. Item 7 is Chair's remarks. There are no remarks today. Well, I will make a remark. Just want to thank our staff for the incredible work that they've done, as well as our commissioners for the work down at the legislature. It was a very busy season, a lot of change down there, and we've put a lot of effort into trying to make sure that things were done correctly. I know Joe's sitting out there. He spent a lot of hours down there as well, so thank you to everyone involved in that. Item 8 is committee reports. We'll go right into the Transportation Committee report, and Commissioner Brasted.
Mr. Chair, we met on Wednesday, May 10th, and have 2 action items. The first is that the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing Anoka County to enter into cooperative agreement with MnDOT for project SP0202-123. It's the construction of temporary pavement surfacing and access accommodations along US 10 and 169 in preparation for the Ramsey Gateway project. This is located in the cities of Anoka and Ramsey, and we have Joe here to tell us more about it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Joe McPherson. I'm the Chief Officer for the Transportation Division and County Engineer. So as Commissioner Brassad had mentioned, this is the preparatory project for the Ramsey Gateway project, which will be advertised for bid later this summer, and then construction will begin early this fall, and then really the lion's share of the construction will be in 24 and 25. What you see on the screen in front of you, highlighted in that light blue color, is where the widening will take place. Because what we want to do with this project is ensure that there's 2 lanes of traffic through this area throughout the duration of construction. I know on the Anoka Solution project, there was only 1 lane in each direction. That project was held to some tighter right-of-way restrictions there, so we weren't able to provide the 2 lanes of traffic. This project, we're able to do that. And then what you see there in red is actually the permanent construction with the frontage road system that's going to be built with the ultimate Ramsey Gateway project. That'll be built early so that we can facilitate access to those businesses that exist on the south side of 10 in that area. And then this action item here, the cooperative agreement, is actually the mechanism that we utilize to receive money from MnDOT, since we're gonna hold the construction contract. So this is really just a mechanism to receive funding from MnDOT for the construction of this project.
Okay, I will offer the resolution. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, Joe, I just want to indicate on Sunfish Lake Boulevard there, pictured, you'll see kind of that heading north on Sunfish, which are on the south side of Highway 10. There's the kind of the right turn to get onto Highway 10. That little stretch there, I'm assuming is County Road, and there's some craters, you might say, that have developed over time. I know we're trying to buy time with pavement out there because a lot of this is going to get torn up, but perhaps we can send a crew out there to take a look at some of those car jarring, issues that we have on that little stretch there. So just want to mention that before I forgot.
Yep. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
If there's no further discussion, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. Item 2.
The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing Anoka County to enter into a cooperative agreement with MnDOT. And this one is for the construction of grade-separated interchanges and associated railroad crossings at Ramsey Boulevard and Sunfish Lake Boulevard at Highway 10, 169. Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. So this is actually an image of what the Ramsey Gateway project is going to look like once it's constructed. it's nice with the new imagery we have with our design software, you can actually get a really good view and image, kind of like Google Maps, to see what it's gonna look like when it's done. But similar to the previous item, this cooperative agreement between MnDOT and Anoka County is really that catalyst to allow us to work between each other, and really the mechanism to receive money from the state. As many of us are aware, there is a significant amount of money that MnDOT's contributing to this project after a lot of work from local legislators, our local officials here, elected officials, and others. So having this agreement in place is imperative for the success of this project.
I will offer this resolution as well. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And Mr. Chair, if I could, since I have Joe at the mic, you talked about things happening at the legislative session, which just wrapped up. We did very well on Highway 65 funding, and just really wanted to take this opportunity to let Joe talk about the different funding sources that are coming our way. But I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of our partners that we've had. Of course, our cities, our MnDOT workers, all of our legislators for years that have worked and pushed and made Highway 65 a priority on really both sides of the aisles. We know roads are not partisan, and Highway 65 has been overlooked for a long time, but we're super excited what we're coming away with in this session. It's approximately $105 million. So Joe, do you want to tell us about that, how it'll be spent and how it was broken down?
Absolutely, yeah. So, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Commissioner Brassad is 100% correct. This legislative session is a huge, monumentous point in time for Trunk Highway 65 and another project, which I'll get to in a minute here too. But there's approximately $102.75 million that were secured through this legislative session to make sure that we can build the Trunk Highway 65 project. I don't have an image of that up right now, but that spans from approximately 99th Avenue all the way up to 117th, also known as Cloud Drive. So back in 2005, 2007, there was some construction done on Highway 65 to grade separate and put an interchange in at 125th Avenue. And then there was a corresponding flyover bridge just north of that and south of that. This is gonna add on to that. We're gonna remove 4 signal systems off 65. So the $102.75 million, that's made up of 68.75 of that is trunk highway bonds, which was secured through the Transportation Omnibus Bill. And then through the bonding bill, there was an additional $34 million in general fund dollars. So a huge lift by our local legislators. Can't say thanks enough for that. And all our project partners, as you mentioned, our cities, our community, our partners over at MnDOT, FHWA, they all played a big part in this. So we truly appreciate that. The other one too that I want to take some time to mention is a project that's been on our docket for, Commissioner Schulte knows this, 20, 30 years, is extending the 6-lane section from Hanson Boulevard up to Round Lake Boulevard on Highway 10. That portion of Highway 10 experiences pretty similar traffic volumes as 94 does over in Maple Grove. So that's a 4-lane section as it sits today. We have a 2-lane section over here in the city of Coon Rapids. Money was secured through trunk highway bonds, $30 million to help push that project along as well. So we're currently working on plans for that to get them ready, put on the shelf in hopes of receiving the money. It's here now. So now we're gonna try scheduling the proper time to construct those improvements and move forward with that project. So a lot of positive news this year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joe, for that.
Yeah, I was following a little closely, and I was kind of watching Representative West kind of comment on some of the things he was trying to get through at the House, which didn't ultimately get through there, but Senator Kroon was able to get through on the Senate, and then the conference committees were able to get together and then agree to the terms that weren't agreeable in the House. And so by working as a team, the two of them did fantastic work as well on getting that done, and as well as others too. I don't want to leave anyone's name out certainly, but it's I was just following that little post a little bit on on some of the challenges and the inner workings of the legislature, which, you know, it's sausage making, and so it's a challenge down there at times, but hopefully in the end you have a good product that comes out. Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I do just want to comment on that Highway 10 Adeline project. This really does complete our work on Highway 10 in Anoka County. It's been a long time coming. All the work through Anoka, through Ramsey, and then now finishing up in Coon Rapids and getting that third lane completed, both east and west. It's a big deal, and it's a monumental day, and of course, the money's not in hand yet, but the documents will likely be signed soon that will commit the money to that project, and I am more than confident in our highway team that they will work closely with MnDOT to make sure that project gets done in the very near future, and we can get to finishing all of 65, not just the first leg.
Joe, what is the start date on this? Is there a legislation call out a start date, or has to be started by, or do we have any idea on that?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, as far as a start by date, there's nothing listed for that, but there is a use by date. So essentially, I believe it's December of 2027. Usually there's a 4-year window on these bond funds.
Okay.
So I'd have to verify that, but typically 4 years out, so we need to keep the ball moving on all these projects.
So does this then become a design-build project to try and maximize that time, or do we have enough time to get to full and final design before construction, bidding documents, et cetera?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, members of the board, as of right now, it's a design bid build style project. Design build has been discussed.
Okay.
At this time, it's not on the table, but something to be discussed here in the near future with MnDOT, especially with 65, knowing where that's at, now that money's on the table. That is an opportunity to do that type of project, but there are some right-of-way hurdles we would have to get over, quite a few acquisitions there, strip takings, that type of stuff, so yet to be determined on that.
So Jason might get another award then for if he's working on that. Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Jepsen.
So yes, echoing the kudos and appreciation for all the long hours that county staff, county electeds, city staff, city electeds, state electeds, state staff. I mean, it shows you, it proves the fact that we all focus on this major goal. It can be accomplished. It doesn't have to take all these years. So thankfully, the road was bad enough that it deserved the attention that it got and got it funded. Now, I just want to make mention 2 things. One, that section was fully funded, but that was just one of 3 sections. So we're still gonna have to focus on the northern section and the southern section, which is also just as important for that entire corridor. The second thing is, yes, construction will happen, hopefully starting next year, shovels in the ground. But just a fair warning that if you think that road is bad now, wait until construction starts to happen. So just asking everyone for their patience in the project, shovels in the ground, and then for their patience once they are in the ground, construction starts, even more patience is gonna be necessary.
Yeah. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Commissioner Schulte answered my question. It was about Highway 10. So there is no more gaps for any sort of funding. We've now secured everything to complete it in its entirety. And then refresh my memory, I want to also say that Highway 10 had a change of design at some point through the process. Is that, though, been all figured out? So it is literally now just flipping that switch, or do you still have some design work to do because of the I don't want to say complications, but the different aspects that you had to attend to?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, Commissioner, yeah, so what you're alluding to there is on the Strategic Congestion Mitigation Project, also known as the Adeline Project in Coon Rapids. Initially, when we started working on that project and putting a design together, we were gonna expand to the outside of the roadway. So we were gonna turn the shoulders into another drive lane and then expand the shoulders out. But for those that are very familiar with that section of the corridor, on the north side is a rather large wetland complex, and it's also a floodplain area. So very sensitive, and the watershed district watches that very closely as water goes up and down. A lot of Anoka County is pretty flat. So when we do impacts to floodplains, it can be a big deal for a lot of residents and businesses. So as we were working through the design process, we did switch the design. So instead of expanding outward, we looked at expanding inward to keep that footprint smaller. That's where we're at now. there is a little bit of wiggle room at the two ends because we have to transition back to what's there today. But yes, that was something we had to work through. That is being formalized right now. The proposed layout is in MnDOT's hand for review and comment.
Okay.
And so we're hopeful to get that approval here in the next few months and then continue on with final design. Our ultimate plan is to have the plans on the shelf by the end of this year.
Thank you.
Commissioner Schulte.
Yeah, final comment on Highway 10. I do want to remind everybody, anybody on the Transportation Committee has seen it, and I think all of you have. We still have that last project where Anoka County meets Sherburne County, where Jarvis Street comes in, and MnDOT originally talked about a stoplight there, and we all know what a bad idea that would probably be with the millions of dollars we've spent to remove stoplights. So we will need to keep our shoulder to the wheel as we work with Sherburne County and Elk River and the town of Ramsey or city of Ramsey to make sure that that transition between counties fits with Anoka County's priorities in our highway. So that is still a little work left on 10, but you see what's happening in Elk River. They've got a lot going on. Sherburne County's got a lot going on. So it may take a little while before that actually develops, but something we need to be mindful of. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. About a week ago, when I was down at the legislature with many of you, a lobbyist came up and he mentioned that it seems like Highway 65 has really moved fast as government can move, right? And he was asking, why did it move at warp speed, he called it. And so, Joe, do you just want to mention about the Pell study and how that was the first of its kind in the state, and your thoughts on, is this something MnDOT will use in the future to move forward and help expedite projects?
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, Commissioner, a great point. It does seem like this project's moved at warp speed when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. So the Pell study that you're referring to, it was the first of its kind in Minnesota. What the Pell study stands for is a Planning and Environmental Linkages Study. And so what that does is typically when transportation professionals do a corridor study on a roadway, what they'll do is they'll take a look at the traffic forecast, they'll look at the access points, and they'll look at really more of the roadway geometry and those metrics. The Pell study takes it a few steps further and really involves the community, provides them an opportunity to come in and express what their opinions are, their concerns are, what they feel the needs are for their community. And so that's what 65 did. And it started up in 2018, took about 2 years to complete, but MnDOT helped lead the charge on that. Melissa Barnes, who was there as the area manager at the time, helped secure the funding for that. And it really opened our eyes to what the community needs are. You know, it expressed some of the concerns with cross connectivity along that corridor, because it kind of acts like a wall. 65 is a wall for the two parts of the community in Blaine. So the Pell study really helped us paint a picture of something that the community could stand behind and move forward with, and that's the project we have in front of us. And as you mentioned, I think that's really a key point to how these projects move so quickly through legislature, because we can provide our legislators with something that is tangible, it's something that's supported by the community members, it's supported by all the local elected officials and the transportation professionals. And so when they have that in their hands, it's pretty easy to go up in front of the House or Senate committees and say, we've got a project, it's ready to go, it's been vetted, and we're ready to make this thing happen. We just need some dollars in the piggy bank to make it happen. So I think that, to your point, that's really what makes these things successful. Because otherwise, if you don't have that detail and you're talking to your local legislators, they have to think on the fly of how they're gonna sell this, how they're gonna show the importance. And when we take all that work off the plate for them and we can get that done, they have something in front of them that they can easily talk to. And our local legislators did an awesome job.
And just to wrap up, if I could, Joe was certainly a shining star when we were meeting with our metro counties, you know, when we're down there fighting for sales tax revenues to come back to our counties. Every single county we worked with specifically called out Joe, his expertise. They were so thankful that he was at the table. So he's went over and beyond. I don't think in the last month he hasn't gotten a call from me on a weekend or he's needed to show up somewhere. So much appreciated, and I think you were a huge part of making all this happen so quickly, and you really represent Anoka County well. So thankful. I'm so thankful for your work.
Thank you. Yeah, I know my wife has been wondering who all these women are that are calling me. It's been interesting conversations at night, but I assure it's all business, honey. But no, appreciate that compliment.
Give you your weekends back now that session is done.
It's all part of the job.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, if you can't tell, I think we're all excited about all these projects that we've worked on. And it's, when you hear from your constituents, not why are you doing a project? Because oftentimes we think 20 years in advance and they think tomorrow. And so you have to plan for 20 years and oftentimes you'll get a, why are we doing this? Why are we wasting this money like this, So you try and explain it to them. But when they move from why to when, is the project going to be done? You know that they're fully on board with the challenges that are out there, whether it's 10, 65, 47, whatever the challenges are. They're fully aware of it and they're fully supportive and get behind it. But Anoka County, I know we started out about 16 years ago on Highway 10. It was a $300 million project. We called it the whole enchilada. We need the whole enchilada done. And the legislature kind of stepped back and, whoa, there's not enough money for this. We can't do it. And so we kind of evolved over time and we said, okay, let's phase this out and let's figure out smaller bite-sized pieces that they will support and kind of start that snowball rolling. And so we implemented that. As Joe, as you indicated, kind of lessons learned of what we needed to do to be able to put that information together and sell it to our legislators and allow them to sell it to the people that need support down there. And then also I want to comment on local investment. Unprecedented, the local communities stepping up and putting money into projects that were not necessarily their roads, but was very important to their areas in terms of economic development. And that sent a signal that this is top shelf, top priority, important, and to focus on getting that done. So I think, Commissioner Brasted, to your point, the light speed, warp speed of getting these projects done, it's been the lessons learned all along that we've duplicated and gone back and seen that they've worked and reused them. I think it's just a testament, obviously, to the work of everyone involved, staff, electeds, everybody, in terms of figuring out how to navigate a very complicated system down to the legislature. Trying to compete, how many Highway 10s, how many Highway 65s are there? Probably 20 around the state. And so you're going in there saying, no, don't, let's focus on ours, not all the other ones. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge because everyone wants to get their projects done. So anyways, great work, everyone.
Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Brasted. We'll move on to the Finance and Capital Improvements Committee report. We met on May 16th. We did not have any public comment. We had a few action items. The first is the committee recommends the county board adopt resolution 2023-F1, resolution relating to financing request on behalf of Nexus Diversified Community Services. You'll see the attachment there. This is a pass-through bond. We've done these before in the past. We do not have any liability associated with these, but we do facilitate some of these projects from time to time. We've done it for what's the school? Spectrum School, I think the most recent one we did on this. Anyways, is there?
Chair, I'll offer the resolution.
Okay, there's an offer of the resolution. Any discussion? Yes, Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yeah, no, I appreciate you stating that there's no liability and there's a pass-through. So I understand that on our end. My question, though, too, because they're taking the place of Cambria Hills, but it says in here that there's some also securities in place, that there's not going to be the same default situation as their predecessor. So that's just what I wanted to make sure that, or that was my question around that.
Right, so essentially.
I don't see that Corey's here.
Corey
so.
is not here today
know,
to handle this. But essentially, the only thing we're at risk of is losing the fee that we would receive on
like
this.
a 3,000 application fee or something like that? Or?
It's an annual fee that we get for a percentage of the interest or whatever, and to facilitate this. So again, I don't know if Commissioner Brasted wants to comment on kind of some of the benefit that they're proposing to bring in for the community.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. When Cambria Hills opened, they opened 2 months before COVID hit. They say timing is everything. So unfortunately, they had problems getting staff. They had, people were leery about sending children to the residential treatment facility. But what isn't lost is that the need for mental health services, this is a pretty extreme need. It's when everything else has failed for a child and they can't be in the hospital anymore. I see Cindy Caesar is here. I don't know if she wants to comment on what the need and what this really does for our metro area. Because in the past, these children have had to be sent hours away, sometimes in other states, when they're at their most vulnerable. And I think we're in a better time without the whole COVID pandemic to help them be successful, because the need is even larger now than it was previously.
Yep, Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just follow-up comments. No, I appreciate that. I mean, of course, I care that that we're protecting our taxpayer dollars, and so there's no liability on the county side. But honestly, what I do care about is, like you're saying, I know that the need is still there, and I don't know all the details about what happened with Cambia Hills, but just, again, wanting the best success or the best position for this new agency to start with. And it sounds like, to the best of our ability, we're doing that. Obviously, we cannot control everything. So, but best of luck then to Nexus. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 2, the committee recommends the county board adopt resolution 2023-F2 approving the termination of certain documents entered into with Wells Fargo Bank and the Metropolitan Mosquito Control District. These were documents that were required by the bank during the repayment of bonds. Those bonds have been repaid, so this is more of a house cleaning item to terminate those documents. Is there offer the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
Offered, okay, a resolution's been offered by Commissioner Gamache. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Item 3, the committee recommends the county board approve a total payment in the amount of $1,957,796 for the 2023 annual operating grant between Metro Transit and Anoka County for the North Star Commuter Rail. As folks will recall, there was a 71.4% reduction in service. We have a service contract with Metro Transit for the North Star line. In the previous years, we paid the same amount of $1,957,796. A previous board action was to pay nothing. We revisited that on account of the fact that we are receiving some service, and we want to pay for the service we received as we've done in the past. And that's what this motion is for and before us now. Commissioner Schulte.
Mr. Chair, first I want to thank the committee for their work, and second, I would like to move that we approve the payment for $1,957,796 for the 2023 annual operating grant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Schulte, second by Commissioner Reinert. Any discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I know that I'm repeating myself around the North Star issue. I do have a couple of questions. I believe that if I vote no for this, I'm stating that I don't want them to be funded for anything if I voted no, which is not the case. I mean, I have not been happy with how we are handling this, but that's my first question. If I voted no, then my vote is actually stating that I shouldn't be funding them at all. And I want to say I did that last year with commentary, but I wanted to confirm that.
So Commissioner Meisner, if you vote no, you are saying you like the existing non-payment
Okay.
that we voted on in the past. You can certainly make a comment to the fact that you would like it to be more, or whatever the case is. But what this motion is to essentially don't do what we've done in the past, and I don't recall how you voted in the past in terms of this payment amount for the service percentage that we receive. Yes, Commissioner
Then,
Meisner.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so, no, I do appreciate the understanding about technically what I am going to be voting for. So this is the third year in the row that we are, have not signed the contract, that we are paying what we are receiving, but it is a bit of a catch-22. Now, I know that in the past, Mr. Chair, you have gone on record, most recently stating, well, if they ran more rides, then we would pay the contract. But that's not entirely true because it was proposed for more rides for morning, for afternoon, and special event service, but no midday or weekend service at $4,696,826. That was rejected by the Finance Committee. So, you know, again, I've repeated myself and I've been really consistent about how I feel. And essentially, it's the how that we are doing that I am not a fan of. I think that this is a mess, it's a challenge, and so we should be leaning in to make improvements the best that we can. There are multiple stakeholders in this project. We do have 4 of the 5 stations. This, to me, is not, what we're doing right now is not leadership. We're making a point, but this is not real leadership. So those are my comments that you guys, I know, have all heard in the past.
Okay. We're going to need to respond to the fact that you seem to think that there is some unethical statements that are being made or alluding to the fact that something isn't true. This board has made a decision, not this board, the Regional Rail Authority made a decision that if the service was increased to the normal amount, we would pay the full amount. We agreed to that as a board. You were here, you were part of that discussion. So it wasn't me making the statement, it was the Regional Rail Authority making the statement, okay? As far as the rejected amount, we rejected on the basis that Met Council is trying to combine the special event service with the service contract. We have never paid for special event service, ever, ever. They added special event service at one point later. People like it, that's great. That's on them. It's not part of us, nor will it ever be part of us. And so we rejected it on account of that. Okay, so if fundamentally they were bringing forward that these are all the things that $4 million is going to cover, and we said no, $4 million is not especially going to cover that part, nor are we agreeable to the number of rides that you're proposing. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, and I do understand that originally the special events were never part of the original contract, and then they decided to add that. I understand that. And what has been happening consistently through numbers and, right, I mean, it has been a success. And when I say success about special events, I'm saying the public is using it. So now they are, or their proposal was, in fact, to make it part of the understanding and the agreement. And so we're rejecting it, even though that it has been, again, successful, meaning people are using that special event. So in terms of, again, you say if they send more, if they up the service, we'll pay, but we're already behind. This is the 3rd year in a row where we're not paying to the commitment. So again, it's the catch-22. How do you expect them to do more rides when we're already behind?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Schulte.
while you collect your thoughts, I first want to comment that the legislature has taken this out of our hands for the future. The legislature has determined that MnDOT, Met Council, State of Minnesota is going to take over the funding, both capital and operations for that line. Our current liability of the capital costs of North Star installation remain. They're on a bond and they'll be paid off in the very near future, and then we will wash our hands of North Star. It's a state asset. They've committed to that. Knowing that it's a state asset and not an Anoka County asset, we should pay for the service we get. We've committed in years past to always pay for the service we get, and we always have. And we're offering to do that here. The 1.9 million is the 2 rides per day. That's the service we get, a 74% reduction from the original contract. We have told them all along, this year when they proposed 4 rides per day, we'll pay it. As soon as you put it on the line, we'll pay the bill when it comes. They have not increased their rides to 4 per day because ridership doesn't call for it. There's no way they would get enough riders, they know that. They don't have enough riders for 2 runs per day, but they're still running it because it's a commitment. That's their option and we're paying for that. This $1.9 million payment is so appropriate. and so accurate. That's why I'm proud of the committee and the work they did, because they boiled that down. And we're doing what we've done in the past. We're paying for the service we get. If Met Council decides to increase that service to 6 rides per day, we'll pay that, because we committed to that in the original funding agreement years ago. But it wouldn't make sense to run empty trains. They know that, we know that, everybody knows that. But it's a state asset. It reverts back to the state after this year. I believe, I didn't look at the data legislation, and I don't know that it's been signed yet, but I think it will be signed. And so we won't have to have these conversations. We don't have to design a new structure. We don't have to overthink this. Let's pay them for the service we got and move on. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Jepson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I was going to ask a leading question, but Commissioner Schulte just answered it for everyone about what happens next. There was so much that was happening in the legislature this season, that, especially in transportation. So I'm very relieved that part of the frustrating negotiations, the time-consuming negotiation, at least something came out of that negotiations, that Met Council will be paying their operations and their maintenance fees on their assets. So this will hopefully, after this year, no longer become an issue. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, the challenge that we have obviously is that we do not own or operate this line. We still have capital notes we have to pay on it, but we do not control what trips, how many trips, what time the trips are, anything else. And we have the Metro Transit, Met Council essentially, which are not profit motivated, and they're not making decisions necessarily that are making it a successful line, to Commissioner Meisner's point. So that is our challenge. The only thing we do is we pay for service, a service contract. Matter of fact, we don't have a service contract signed, and we haven't for the last 3 years. But we are willing to pay for the service we receive by percentage. And that's precisely what was discussed here, and that's what this is before us here for a vote. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and just a follow-up comment about, the changes in the legislature. So I do appreciate you bringing that up. And I will also say that I am personally very thankful, because one of the frustrating things for me, even though I have a different position than a lot of my colleagues, is that there was nobody that was taking jurisdiction. It was like, well, it's not our responsibility, it's somebody else's. So I am glad that we are out of the mix in this regard, and it is a finite responsibility of the state. So I just wanted to end with that comment, that I am very thankful that that is happening. Thank you.
Any further comments? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
And that motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 4, which is the committee recommends the county board approve the following fuel master contracts. Contract C0009995 for the purchase of transport deliveries of gasoline, gasohol, which I learned was gasoline and ethanol, E10, diesel and heating oil to Petroleum Traders Corporation out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then contract C0009996 for the purchase of tank wagon deliveries of gasoline, gasohol, diesel, and heating oil to Dean Oil Company located in Ramsey for a 12-month period from June 1st, for both of them, June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024. Is there a motion to approve these master fuel contracts?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte,
Second.
second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. That concludes the Finance and Capital Improvements Committee report. Let's move on to the additional report here. This came out of Management Committee, but it has to do with financial items. The first is that that we have an approval of contract C000987 with AbsentSoft, a cloud-based SaaS solution or software as a solution to manage the leave of absence process, ensure compliance with legal requirements, improve the employee leave experience in the amount of $234,000 for a 3-year term effective May 23, 2023, with an option for 12-month renewal periods. Essentially, we have a system right now that's being used. There's a 6-figure a requirement to make improvements to that system. If we were to do that, that new system wouldn't work with Workday. So we are now looking at moving to a system such as this that will work with Workday, the new system we implemented. So hopefully everyone tracked that. Similar dollars, less runaround, easier to work with Workday, I think kind of summarizes it. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gamache,
Second.
second by Commissioner Meisner. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that motion passes unanimously. The next one is a very difficult topic to bring up here. It's the adoption of Resolution 2023-M1, a resolution relating to the appointment of the county highway engineer. I'm teasing Joe, of course, but every 4 years we need to, we're required to have a resolution appointing a county engineer. We've done this every 4 years, or 3 in some years to account for the 4 years, and it's before us here today. And so I see Joe's coming up to the podium. Any final comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. I appreciate that lead-in. No, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you and our leadership team, Rhonda, and actually all of our management team, as well as our staff at the Highway Department. I've got a great core leadership team there as well, and our staff is top-notch. I would compare it to any other agency out there, and I appreciate the opportunity and the faith that you guys have put in me. It's truly an honor and a privilege to serve the residents of Anoka County in this capacity, and I look forward to another 4 years. This last 3.5 years flew by. As we just talked about this morning, there's a lot of good things happening in our communities, and so I'm happy to be a part of that and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
As mentioned in the management committee, we oftentimes get feedback from cities and you know, council members, mayors, those sorts of people that work with the county, specifically on contentious issues such as road work and right-of-way acquisition and things like that, businesses and others as well. And I continually get positive feedback every single time when your name is brought up and how you've helped to facilitate things and walk them through why something uncomfortable needs to happen or whatever the case may be. And your team's done a fantastic job at that too. So I won't get into whether that's happened in the past or not, but certainly it's happening here. And I know anytime we get positive feedback, it's a wonderful thing. So kudos to you and your team for the excellent work that you do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brasted.
Mr. Chair, could I offer the resolution?
The resolution's been offered by Commissioner Brasted. Any further discussion? Commissioner Meisner?
Oh, Mr.
I just wanted to comment, the former chair of the Transportation Committee for Joe's tenure, I couldn't have been more pleased with his work and the work of his team. I did serve as the committee chair under the previous highway engineer as well, and we all knew Doug Fisher. He did a great job as a highway engineer. Joe's a better people person. Doug would understand me saying that, I know. Doug was good with some people, but not everybody. Joe's good with everybody. And I really appreciate that. It takes that touch, that compassionate, caring, willing to talk to people when you don't feel like it. You do that. And I really appreciate that. It made my job as the chair of the Transportation Committee then very easy. So I know Commissioner Brasted is feeling the same way right now, and your work is exemplary. We're proud to have you here in Anoka County. And don't listen to what every other county says. They're not better to work for. This is the top county to work for right here, Joe.
Or the state either.
I like it here.
Anywhere, right here, Joe.
I like it here.
Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and just to echo Commissioner Schulte's and everybody, actually, everybody's sentiment. I mean, I've told you this, but you know, everyone has different styles, and your leadership style is truly about building partnerships. You're listening, and you're willing to lean in even when things are tough, and people respond to that. And so I think that I really appreciate that, because that's really hard to do, to be that partner type of position versus adversary. And so thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you all.
So before the vote is taken, this is where commissioners want to bring projects up and get commitment from them on record. I'm kidding, of course. Anyways, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, item 2 is consider authorizing risk management to settle workers' compensation claim 22-004 in the amount and terms as discussed with the Attorney's Office and Risk Management. You'll see that item on the last page here.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion to approve and a second, moved by Commissioner Schulte, second by Commissioner Brasted. And we will go to a roll call vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you for that. That concludes the additional board agenda. We'll move on to the Human Services Committee report and Commissioner Reinert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now it's time for the non-controversial Human Services Committee report. My committee met on Tuesday, May 16th at 8:30 a.m. and there was no public comment. We do, however, have 6 items on the consent agenda. If there's any questions, we'll take those now. Otherwise, I'll move that. I'll move the approval of these items.
There's a motion by Commissioner Reinert, second by Commissioner Jepson. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Item 7.
Okay, next we're going to move to the Job Training Center. We've got a couple items there. My committee would like to recommend that the board accept a group application funding from the U.S. Department of Labor and enter into contract C0009986 with Career Solutions for the Pathway Home 4, competitive grant in the amount not to exceed $1,008,670 from January 1st, 23 through December 31st, 2026. And this is a 3.5-year contract, federally funded. And that's about all I can say about that.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Meisner, second by Commissioner Gamache. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, just a quick correction to the date. It is July 1st, 2023. Commissioner Reiner said January. Just want to make sure we get the date in the minutes correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and the report actually says July 1st, 1023. Oops. Fear of our Lord.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
so we've got a motion, a second. We've got some corrections to the dates and year. And is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. Item 8.
Item 8, under Job Training Center, we'd like the board to consider to apply for and accept information technology implementation and support funding contract number C0009987 from the Department of Employment and Economic Development, DEED, for the Senior Community Service Employment Program in a requested amount of $21,935, and that'd be from July 1st, 23 through June 30th, 24. This is federally funded, basically tech enhancements to update case management tool.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Jepson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gamache. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 9.
Item 9, and this is under Social Services, and we'd like the board to consider entering into contract number C0009497. This is an amendment with Stepping Stone Emergency Housing for emergency shelter services at $82,591.98 per month from July 1st, 23 through December 31st, 23, in the amount not to exceed $962,093.15. So this is basically a state legislative authorized increase of $4,844 a month. And it's basically to cover, rising cost of living for room and board.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Meisner,
Second.
second by Commissioner Brasted. Just a question for me. perhaps Commissioner Jepson would know, the 962,0093.15, I think one extra zero on there. Anyways, what percent of the budget is that by chance?
Oh, wow, okay.
Do you know offhand, not to put you on the spot?
Typically, government funding is about 65 to 70% of the budget. COVID threw a kink in that with all the influx of COVID dollars coming for hotel nights of shelter, food, insecurity costs, things like that. But typically, it's about 65, 70%.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Any further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Just a quick point, I don't know if it's a point of order or what it would be exactly. I used to sit on the on the board for Stepping Stone, but I haven't since January of this year, and I no longer have any official ties to Stepping Stone. So I will be voting.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 10.
Okay, number 10, under social services again, and this is for the board to consider to enter into the following family homeless prevention and assistance program, subgrantee contract amendments for housing assistance services through September 30th of this year. And this is contract C0009829, Hope for Youth, in the amount of $60,100. Contract number C0008755 with the Salvation Army in an amount not to exceed $1,057,047. And contract number C0008756 with the YMCA of the North in an amount not to exceed $448,067. And this is state funded, and it's basically for extra staff and rapid rehousing rental.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Meiser, second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item 11.
Now we're going to move to behavioral health, and we've got an item there that we'd like the board to consider accepting a one-time additional mental health block grant, funding from the Minnesota Department of Human Services, contract number C0009930, in an amount not to exceed an amount of $786,184, and that's through March 31st of 24. And yeah, like I said, this is state and federal funded. So support counties, tribal nations, and providers for tech staff to respond to mental health calls and support.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gamache. Discussion? I think that we'll probably utilize this grant with some of the emphasis on mental health related issues, so this is good. Good to receive this.
Wait.
Yes,
Yeah,
Commissioner
I'm
Meisner.
sorry, Mr. Chair. I think I'm looking at the right one, but this is too for specifically for mobile crisis service, I want to say too, which is obviously very, very needed and needs to be secured and served, so. But you had mentioned a lot of other things as well, and I just wanted to write, it is also the mobile crisis service.
Actually, I think that's item 13 for Canvas.
Okay, so I am on the wrong agenda item.
11, we're on 11.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yep, Commissioner Schulte.
Item 11 does cover Canvas Health for mobile crisis service for calendar year 23 and 24.
So they're basically in two different items, I think, today.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That clears that up. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 12.
Okay, number 12, under behavioral health, and the board, or the committee would like the board to consider entering into the following behavioral health contract amendments for expanded home and community-based services through March 31st, 2024. Contract number C0009491 with the Lee Carlson Center for Mental Health and Wellbeing in the amount of $693,292.50. Contract number C0009333 with Mission Inc. in an amount not to exceed $442,430, and contract number C0009493 with Mental Health Resources in the amount not to exceed $71,552.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brassad,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gamache. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 13.
13, under behavioral health yet, and this is for our committee to have the board consider entering into contract number C0009542. This is an amendment to, with Canvas Health for mobile mental health crisis response services in the amount not to exceed $2,286,920.68. This is from January 1st, 23 through December 31st, 24. And this is the mobile crisis help that you were talking about, Commissioner Meisner. Very specialized service. This is a 24/7 service that we get from Canvas Health and very much needed.
Is there a motion to approve contract C0009542?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Meisner,
Second.
second by Commissioner Brassad. Discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have a question,
Commissioner
please. Based on the two items specifically focusing on significant funding for Canvas Health, do they ever come into board meetings and report what these funds are used on, how they've been successful, you know, the return on the investment that we bring to them, some measurable goals and accomplishments with these dollar amounts? It just seems to be a lot of money for this one organization, not to say that they're providing an inadequate service, not to say that they're doing anything inappropriate whatsoever. I think it would just be wonderful to hear what they're doing with these funds and how they're proactively really doing important work in our community and making a difference.
You know, we have been adding to the Human Services committee meetings, you know, reports from different areas and for people to come in and give presentations. And I guess we could have them come in and talk to the group. But we have Director of Human Services here, Cindy Caesar. Why don't you comment more on what Canvas Health does?
And Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Really good point. You know, I think with Canvas Health, we do collect information from them about the number of calls that they respond to, some of their successes, of course, within the community. And so we would be open to having them come in at some point, either to Human Services Committee, or even if you want them to come to our county board and do a presentation on the work that they do within our community.
Thank you.
And over time, you know, I have learned more and more of what they do. And like I said, it's a 24/7 service that, you know, really with how specialized service that they do provide, it'd be very difficult for the county to provide those kind of services. But, you know, I think about, you know, police officers that are with some domestic situation, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday or something, and they need to have, you know, Canvas Health come in and kind of manage, you know, maybe something that's happening in the house with the children and things like that. And, you know, that those are the kind of resources they provide that, you know, I'm really glad we have them for. But yeah, I would love to hear from them personally and, you know, give us a little presentation.
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then Mr. Chair of the Board and then Chair of Human Services, if the rest of my colleagues are open to this, I mean, you had mentioned presentation in Human Services, which of course is the committee of jurisdiction. But to Commissioner Jepson's point, I mean, I personally like it when all 7 of us are educated on things that we're investing a lot of money in that are affecting our communities. So I hope to actually have this presented in a work session, Mr. Chair, for all 7 of us, rather than just Human Services.
Well, perhaps, Rhonda, we can have them scheduled to come into the county board meeting here, and that way it can be televised and people can see some of the work that they do too, if they'd be willing to do that, a 5-10 minute or whatever the time frame would be for that. Commissioner Schulte?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure we're all aware, and I just figured it out now. I should have researched it earlier, but item 11 and 13 are directly related in that the amount in item 11 is the amendment to this contract in 13. So they are directly related. It's the exact amount.
Okay. Okay, have any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Item 14.
Item 14, and we're still under behavioral health, and this is last but not least of my presentation today. The committee would like the board to adopt resolution number 2023 HS8, and this is accepting Minnesota housing funding for the Family Homeless and Prevention Assistance Program. And this is an amendment to the grant contract number C0008714.
Just get back down to that. Okay, is there a motion to, or is there an offer of this resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution's been offered by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Schulte.
I think it's worthy noting that it's $750,000 additional to the grant, if I'm reading it correctly.
Yeah, it's $750,000 added to the grant for a total of $1,579,200. And basically, it's to prevent and minimize repeat episodes of homelessness.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye. That passes unanimously.
Okay, that completes my report. The rest is routine and informational. And back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinert. We'll move on to Information Technology Report and Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The IT committee met on May 16th. We have 2 action items before us. The IT committee recommends the county board approve a purchase from Insight Public Sector, Inc. of Herndon, Virginia for a CGIS compliant virtual environment, including software, hardware, and professional services in the amount of $261,787.54 with a change order of $13,089 for a total of $274,876.54. This is the program or the software that is needed for a lot of the FBI, Minnesota BCA, and different areas there where we need to be CGIS compliant, including the county attorney's offices. So this is a needed piece of software to move that forward, and this gets us up to date, I believe, completely with BCA and some of the FBI CGIS policies. So it's vitally important to move this one. And it is being funded with ARPA dollars as well. So we're spending some ARPA dollars before, they try to take some back.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion. Commissioner Schulte.
Just a quick acronym announcement, CGIS, Criminal Justice Information Systems. A number of times you may not have heard that.
Thank you. Yeah, you start getting wrapped up with all the acronyms out there.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 2.
Item number 2 is have the county board approve a purchase from Insight Public Sector of Herndon, Virginia, for the replacement of 12 blade servers and 2 blade chassis in the amount of $385,379.94 with a change order of $19,269, and the total of that is $404,648.94. The blade servers is a device that provides applications, databases, email, phone services, and many other systems to county users. So they're vital, needless to say. And they're vital because they're used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So their reliability is very important, and we need to make sure that that lives up to all the expectations that we have in our daily work every single day. 12 blade servers and 2 blade chassis are reaching their end of support by the manufacturer in October of 2023. So we need to get these purchased and put into place before then, and this has been and is still part of our CEP budget. So we have this budgeted and ready to go.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Reinert.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
That passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. We'll move on to the Property Records and Taxation Committee Chair Report, and Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The chair report, we did not have a meeting due to a limited agenda items. However, we do have one item, and we are requesting approval of a resolution 2023-PRT3, transferring a split residential parcel to Independent School District number 728 of Elk River. This is, the property currently lies within the boundaries of two different school districts, both Elk Rivers, 728, and Anoka Hennepin's District 11. The property owner would like these two parcels combined and transferred into the Elk River District.
Okay.
I will move approval.
There's an offer of the resolution by Commissioner Schulte. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's do a roll call vote on this one.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously.
And that concludes my chair report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Schulte. We'll move on to the Public Safety Committee report, and Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our Public Safety Committee met on May 10th, and there was no public comment. Our first action item is that the committee recommends approval and execution of Amendment Number 5 to Antenna Site Use Agreement between Selco Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless, and Anoka County with an annual lease amount of $29,000, commencing September 1st, 2025. And this is actually a reduction in our agreement with Verizon, and the reduction is due to the fact that their equipment on our Radio Shop tower actually takes up less room and less of a footprint.
Okay, so they're paying us.
They're paying us.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jepson. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Item 2.
Under the Sheriff's Office, the committee recommends adoption of resolution accepting dedicated donation from the Ham Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. And what this is for is City of Ham Lake and their chamber throws a Freedom Festival the Saturday before 4th of July. They have fireworks and all-day events going on in their city park. And so the chamber is donating $2,500 to be used for the Anoka County Sheriff's Reserve Unit for protection and security that day. And I'll offer that resolution.
Commissioner Brassad offers Resolution 2023-PS04. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Item 3.
The committee recommends adoption of Resolution 2023-PS05, accepting a dedicated donation from Scott Mell. Scott is donating some new factory ammunition for firearms training purposes for the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Mell has been a big fan of our sheriffs for many years and just likes to donate and help out.
Excellent. Is there an offer of that resolution?
I'll offer it.
The resolution's been offered by Commissioner Brassad. Thank you, Mr. Mell, for that donation. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Item 4.
The committee recommends adoption of Resolution 2023-PS06, acknowledging the retirement and transfer of ownership of Anoka County Sheriff's Office K-9 to Sergeant Matthew O'Connor. His K-9 dog, Eli, is going to be turned over to him. Sergeant O'Connor has just received a promotion, and they have served together for a long time, so it just makes sense that this gets turned over. So I'll offer that resolution.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Brassad. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes.
And then to move on to my chair report on an item that came kind of last minute from the sheriff's office is that we would recommend the county board approve the 2023 State of Minnesota Federal Boating Safety Supplemental Patrol Grant Contract Agreement in the amount of $10,500 for a term of May 12th, 2023 through September 4th, 2023. And I'll move that.
So Commissioner Brastas moves contract C0010004. Any discussion? We need a second, actually.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Yes, Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just one question about the funding source, because it says NA, so then this is not county related or correct? So it doesn't affect our levy, it's
Would come from the state of Minnesota.
state of Minnesota. Okay, all right. Is there a reason why it doesn't say the state of Minnesota on the funding resource, or?
Well, just in the action requested, it says 2023 State of Minnesota Federal Boating Safety Supplemental Patrol Grant. So,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
I think to answer the commissioner's question is, why does it just say NA next to funding source?
Correct.
That's only the county funding source that we put in that box. Whether it's coming from general fund or whether it's coming from asset preservation, or it's just if it's a county source. If it's an outside source, federal government or state, there is no box for that there.
Yes, Commissioner Meisner.
Mr. Chair, well, that's not then consistent. We're not practicing that consistently, because in human resources or human services, it will say state and federal, funding. And I've seen that in other committees where if it's not a levy or like county specifically, it will state other funding. And I feel like Scott Schulte. I feel like I'm really being technical right now. So I'm just like curious and just bringing that up. So anyway, but we do list other funding sources if they are not county.
You're right. We have done that in the past, and I think it's at the discretion of the person writing the report here. But I think it was just a matter of redundancy based on the title.
Sure.
So, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
That passes unanimously.
And that concludes my public safety reports.
Thank you, Commissioner Brastad. We'll move on to item 9, which is a public hearing to,
Chair report.
Public Safety Chair, we did that. Just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
This one we just did.
yeah, she moved into that
I
one.
apologize.
Item 9 is a public hearing to obtain comments on an amendment to the Anoka County fees. You'll see the attached notice. And I believe I turned this over to our county attorney.
Which one?
Item 9,
Hearing.
for a public hearing.
Bear with me for just a second, sorry. Multitasking a little bit here. Thank you. So notice of the public hearing on the county attorney's fees. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Commissioners of Anoka County, the county herein, will meet at 9:30 a.m. on May 23rd, 2023, in the county boardroom of the Anoka County Government Center, 2100 3rd Avenue, Anoka, Minnesota, for the regularly scheduled county board meeting, which will include conducting a public hearing on an amendment to the county fees. The purpose of the hearing is to obtain comments concerning Anoka County user fees, and at that time, interested agencies, groups, or persons attending the public hearing shall have the right to provide written or oral comments or suggestions with respect to the proposed fees. A copy of the proposed fee structure can be obtained at the Anoka County Administration Office, and any questions regarding this proposed fee structure may be directed to Corey Kampf, the Chief Financial Officer, at, and here's the phone number, 763-324-1700, between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. All interested persons may appear at the public hearing and present their views orally or in writing. And if you need accommodation such as an interpreter or printed material in an alternate format, i.e. Braille or a larger print, because of a disability, please contact the Anoka County Administration Office. And here's the phone number at 763-324-4700. And that's TDD TTY number 763-324-4000. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So under item A, we have a consider resolution 2023-51 relating to fees for various county services, including fees related to permits and licenses and sales of materials to the public and other government agencies. You'll see those listed there.
And Chair, look, if you could open the public hearing, that would be helpful. Thank you.
We will go ahead and open the public hearing and turn it over to you.
Okay. Calling for anybody here for a public hearing on the agenda item that has just been read into the record. Is there anyone here to speak to the public hearing? Anyone here to speak to the issue of the fees? Anyone here calling for anyone here to speak to the issue of fees? There is no one here present that appears to be wishing to address the county board on the issue of the fees. Commissioner, you may close the public hearing.
Okay, we will go ahead and close the public hearing, and we will consider item A, which is resolution 2023-51 relating to fees, again, for various county services, including fees related to permits, licenses, and sales of materials to the public and other governmental agencies. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution's been offered by Commissioner Gamache. Is there any discussion? Again, these fees that are going up are just nominal increases to cover costs. Departments don't increase costs necessarily every single year. Sometimes it's 5 years before the costs come around to being increased. So we try and catch up with those to try and represent the actual cost of the service. So nothing too large there in terms of the increases. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you for that. Item 10, we'll consider approving contract C0001010, renewing the Anoka County property insurance from Chubb Group out of Bloomington, Minnesota, for a policy term of June 1st, 2023 to June 1st, 2024, for a premium not to exceed $620,179.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Schulte. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Any discussion?
Just one. It's
Reinert?
C00, not 000.
C00. Thank you for that. Yes, Commissioner Schulte.
And I did hear that it actually came in a little bit lower than this. So it's a not to exceed number, and I believe it was like $5,000 lower. So Bill and his team continue to do excellent work in negotiating and holding our vendors' feet to the fire.
Okay, yes, thank you for that. So again, this is for contract C0010010, renewing the Anoka County property insurance. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye. That passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 11, which is consider authorizing the Highway Department to settle a contractor lawsuit, case number 02-CV-17-244, according to the terms discussed at the Anoka County Attorney's Office. Is there an offer of that settlement?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Schulte. And we will go to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Jepson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you for that. Item 12 is consider for informational purposes my appointments of a fourth commissioner to the following committees. Under A, Finance and Capital Improvements Committee, we'll be adding Commissioner Jepson. And under B, Intergovernmental and Community Relations Committee, we'll be adding Commissioner Gamache. The reason for this is we've done 4-person committees in the past, and we went to 3-person committees this year. And then following a wonderful presentation from our county attorney as it relates to open meeting law, we found out that on a 3-person committee, for example, Commissioner Reinert and I, as chair and vice chair, serve on one committee. We cannot talk together outside of that committee without violating the open meeting law, which is completely ridiculous. And so if you're a majority of a committee, which 2 people of 3 constitute a majority, then you are at risk at that point. So it came to our attention that it might be advantageous to increase the size of committees, and so this is an effort to go back to a 4-person committee, as we've had in the past. And of course, we certainly want more input from commissioners whenever possible. So Commissioner Reiner.
Just a question. We're adding to finance and IG, so will there be one for IT as well?
Not at this point.
But will we be adding?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay, just.
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, okay, actually, I just want to clarify, because we had a very thorough work session around this. But, I mean, 2 commissioners can meet, they just cannot talk about business. So I wanted to make sure that I am correct about that. So then my other question, which kind of follows up on Commissioner Reinert's, so then why aren't we having all committees then as committees of 4? I mean, that would make consistent sense. So that would be IT, and I believe also Human Services right now has 3 commissioners and not 4. So I actually would encourage you then to put 4 on all committees if the reason that we're doing this is for the perceived liability for open meeting laws. So that would be my comment. And of course, I have given a list of other committees that I am personally, willing to serve and happy to serve. So I hope that you would consider me as well for filling in any of the gaps.
Thank you for your comments. Particularly Commissioner Commissioner Reinert and I serve on the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, and a lot of that sometimes has to do with finance. So, for example, we're talking about what are we going to be, discussing as it relates to, dollars we're going to put on projects, whatever the case is. We would literally, as soon as that meeting concluded, step outside, and if we're talking about anything relating to finance, we're potentially violating the open meeting law at that point. So as chair and vice chair, it was brought to my attention that, discussions generally need to go on. And so we have to provide some protection for that. So yes, Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, again, just in terms of best practices, so I, by the way, I agree with this, right? Because of our work session, I think that is a smart thing for us to do. But why wouldn't you have all committees then of committees of 4? Because now it kind of looks like you're just protecting certain committees for this potential perceived break in open meeting law. So again, I would ask you to reconsider being consistent and just having all committees of 4.
I would remind you that once a committee meeting is advertised, there can be all commissioners present to those meetings. It's not an issue. So if you want to attend other committees, if you want to attend IT, if you want to attend a committee you don't currently serve on, such as transportation, which are oftentimes there, you're certainly welcome to do that. That's not a problem. So. Okay, so that is for informational purposes only. We'll move on to committee appointments on item 13, which is under A, consider reappointing Thomas Kinney, representing District 3 to the Community Corrections Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending May 2025. You'll see his background and his application that's attached there. Is there a motion to approve?
I would like to move to approve this appointment.
Okay, so moved by Commissioner Reinert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Any discussion?
Just a couple comments about Tom. Good person for this position, ex-police chief of Mounds View. Know him well, and he does a good job.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. We'll move on to B, which is consider appointing or reappointing the following to the Adult Mental Health and Advisory Committee for a 3-year term expiring May 31st, 2026. Item 1 is appointing Maria Davis, Consumer Representative, and Don Rutt, Community Leader Representative. And under 2 is reappointing Robert Rowe, Consumer Representative. Is there a motion to approve 1 and 2?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Meisner.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schulte. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just commentary. And I see that Maria Davis is here in the audience, so thank you both for taking time to be here. And so just congratulations. I mean, I actually know Maria for maybe a decade at least through her work with Lee Carlson Center and some other agencies. So I think you are going to be an excellent voice. You're going to be representing well, and I'm so glad that you're going to be there. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Davis, for putting your name out there and willing to do this extra work, so.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm sorry, just like a follow-up. So it says, consumer representative, and just to reiterate my personal opinion about that. So people who have lived experiences when they're on these advisory boards, that is so important. So again, so thank you so much and appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Congratulations. And if there's nothing else to come, yes.
Sorry.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I sit on the library board, and yesterday we had our meeting introducing the summer reading series and programs that Anoka County Libraries are kicking off as of June 1st. And I thought it would be a fun idea. I don't know how artistic everyone is along this dais, as well as our county administrator, county attorney, and county sheriff. I thought it'd be fun for all of us to participate in the Tiny Art Contest, in which the Anoka County Libraries gives us each a bookmark with a paint packet. And then they're due by June 30th and turn them in, and the community gets to vote on them. I thought it might be something fun for the 7 of us, plus administrator, attorney, and sheriff, to participate in and support summer reading in Anoka County.
Okay, all right.
That sounds competitive.
It's as competitive as you want it to be.
I know that Commissioner Gamache is quite an artist.
I have no
Commissioner,
art skills.
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm in for sure, but actually it's Commissioner Schulte Commissioner Schulte, I hope that you will participate, because he and I have had many discussions about the opinions about art and culture. And so I hope you do it.
He's going to drive her.
I'm sure I have a grandchild or two that will do it for me.
He's going to just draw a race car,
Yeah.
Well, with that excited response, I will get everyone a tiny art packet and pass them out. Thank you all.
All righty, wonderful. Okay, if there's nothing else to come before our board this morning, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.